Same chairs.
You think I can come back Saturday? I'm off.
We're doing this on Saturday,
I'll come back
too.
to Saturday.
If you want to hang out for the full production on Saturday, come hang, dude.
I have nothing else to do.
What's up, motherfuckers? Welcome to Deliciously Nothing, episode 119. I am comedian Nick Weir, and with me today, I have a guy that I really love, a comedian, a producer in town, and a chef. Please give it up for my buddy Matt West, guest tonight. And of course, I have my co-host with me, Rev.
I'm Reverend Muffington. All right. Well, I don't usually start the show lit. Last show, so we apparently we've been streaming for the last 40 minutes, and we really got in some really great conversation. And it's a shame that. Thank you, Mario, for the heads up, and Erica for the Nashville power couple. All right.
Podcast extraordinaire.
So I'm going to do a shot for this show. We did that last time. Didn't we do like with Mario? Didn't we do like 2 hours and then we did like another 2 hours?
100% that's what happened.
That's exactly what happened.
Cheers to that.
Thank you, sir. One day we'll get our shit together.
So are we unmuted now for sure?
We are unmuted now for sure.
Are they from Philadelphia?
They lived there for a while, but no.
Did they just come from there to here?
Yes.
Dude, so check this out. Their first night in Nashville, I did a show, and it was a taping at a studio with Mike Drew, and they saw me bomb so fucking hard. Like, it was the worst bomb ever, because like I didn't know I just got off work. I just thought it was just going to be like a little show, and then I get there and there's these professional cameras and there's fucking lights, and I was not ready for it.
Oh my god!
Because I got up
Mike
there and
Drew.
I got up there and I felt blind, dude. And I was like, and it was like I was just yelling jokes out into the void, but I couldn't see or hear shit because I was bombing.
Yeah.
It was that bad.
The blood was in your ears.
Yeah, but yeah, that was probably one of the first comedians they met here, because they were like, yeah, we just got here from Philadelphia.
That's funny.
And then they saw me do just the worst comedy.
Just
that
the
I've ever
worst
fucking
comedy.
done.
You can't see, so you're not connected to the crowd at all.
Right.
You know.
I mean, there was people there. There was probably about 15 or 20 people, but I was not prepared for. I thought it was just going to be like Mike Drew does some just chill shows, and I thought it was just going to be one of those.
But he had a whole production.
Had the whole production. I'm talking about like,
production.
and I was like, I'm in my fucking chef pants and fucking dirty shirt, smelling like salmon and shit. You know what I mean? Yeah, I was not in.
You just got done with a long day.
It was a long day
just
too. I wasn't like
chopping things.
I was like, I'm gonna get off. I'm gonna go tell some jokes in a couple 5 minutes or so. He's like, yeah, you got 15.
Yeah.
And I was like, what?
Oh, all right, 15 minutes. I gotta do that.
Yeah.
That's.
Yeah, but it was a good experience. Though. All those experiences are good, even the bad ones.
I love.
Shout out Mike Drew for putting me on the show.
Shout out Mike Drew.
Yeah, it's funny because like when I first got back here, this time last year, and started getting into the comedy scene here, it's a lot different than it is out west. It's a lot. Everybody clicks up, kind of situation here.
In the mid. Oh,
Yeah.
here, yes.
Yeah,
I was going to say
true.
here.
There's a
Out
lot
there,
of
out there, especially in Salt Lake, man, they're super just supportive of each other, and it was just. Strange. I just came in, I'm just like kind of a new character in a ongoing drama with this shit. And
You just get caught into the vortex. We're
Right.
here. There are cliques here.
there are, and it's, and I get it. And, there's cliques in life too. But, yeah, like it's just different, like when you go to open mic in Salt Lake, there'd be 150 people there. It was fucking amazing.
That is crazy.
Yeah. Wise Guys is a great comedy club out there, and I have a lot of good things to say about it. But,
Hell yeah.
and some of the people I met out there were really nice. And yeah, I used to have a lot of fun. And then I got here. It took a while, I feel like, for anybody to even start fucking with me. Because, I don't know, man. One thing I've always kind of dealt with in my life is people, they'll hear my accent, and because I make jokes about this on stage.
Yes, you do.
They hear my accent, and then they automatically assume things about me. You know, and I've always kind of felt that I get treated a certain way. People kind of like it's like it's like a certain look that they'll give you, like kind of looking down their nose at you. You know.
Yeah, I totally understand where you're coming from because I grew up here in the South too, and I like repressed that Southern accent like in middle school or something. I was like, I do not want to sound like that because people made fun of me for it before.
Yeah. Well, and you know, when I was in college, I was doing broadcasting classes because I was a journalism major, and my broadcasting teacher came to me and was like, "You're gonna have to go take speech therapy, or you're gonna fucking fail this class." You know, because you can't be on the weather and gonna be like, "Oh goddamn, it's gonna rain up yonder," and you know, later on we'll have a low pressure, whatever. So yeah, I mean, and I always thought that was real crazy because it's like imagine a professor walking up to a African American student and being like, "Hey, you need to go to speech therapy," right? And I did go to speech therapy just to pass that class, which was odd because I was paying for said class, right?
Oh.
Yeah.
Crazy.
Yeah, this is in college. I'm paying for this class, and I remember that incident. That didn't really feel too good. You know what I mean? And that's just kind of one example.
No, that wouldn't feel good. That's terrible.
No, because it's like the way I talk it was directly given to me by my my family, my people, right?
In your environment, right?
Yeah. So, and it's in a way when they were telling me to go do that speech therapy thing, it was like.
Oh, I mean, you felt offended by it. Of course you. I mean, I would
It's almost like you're trying to take my culture away, you know. It's kind of what it felt like, dude. You know. And I can't speak to because there's been other groups of people that have had worse assimilation things than I have, right? And
Surely.
right, but it gave me a perspective on kind of how that would feel, you know. Although this was a lot minor of a case than like say going to a boarding school or something like they used to do Native Americans, but it didn't feel good.
Yeah, it didn't feel good.
But yeah, I mean, and I think it just took a while for people to kind of warm up to me here. I mean, I've got some great friends now. But,
yeah, our scene is kind of guarded in
Fragmented. In
some ways, but we definitely have some like friendly people, you know.
The scene overall is great. I wind up having noticing in booking, there's certain cliques, and there's a clique that I really just can't book from. I mean, there's a pool of people that just won't have dick to do with us. And I mean, I guess I understand it in one way or another, but
yeah,
but
I mean, for me, my mindset on it is like, if people want to be booked on this show, ask me. Or you. Or Sloan. Just ask any of us to be on the show. We'll put you on the show. With Funny on the Spot, how I book that, I typically have a group of people I have in mind. It's normally people in the scene that are producing stuff, you know? And a mix of that and the obviously good people in the scene, people that work, the working comics in our scene, as small as it is. Yeah, that's normally how I go about it. And I actually have already had you in mind of it. I remember we talked about it outside of the podcast. Once at Love
we
and
did.
Exile, I think.
And I appreciate that, and it was
because you fit that category of you produce in the scene, and you're also funny.
Yeah, and I'm interested because I've never done just a strictly crowd work show. And
You'd probably be really good at it. Because I've seen you do crowd work before.
Yeah, I could definitely be better at it. And honestly, I haven't been focusing much on crowd work because I want to get the just regular craft done. Yeah. I need to. My problem is I need to do this show so I can get better at maybe dealing with hecklers because I'd be melting down instead of making it funny.
That's a hard one to balance.
Not always. It's just sometimes, especially when we do green light, those people, I can't make it funny because they're just fucking. They don't need funny. They need to shut the fuck up. That's what they need. Because I've watched all my friends go up before me and try to deal with them in a funny way, and it's not working. They're just being belligerent.
Sure.
Then it's when I get up there, dude. I've done it several times. I'll just sacrifice my whole set to scaring the fuck out of that guy. Because I just get up there and look at like that wild ass hillbilly that they think I am. Just like,
Yeah.
motherfucker, I swear to God. You know what I mean? Like fuck them. I can't be that. I can't. I'm just walking with Jesus right now.
Yes, dude, you're walking with the Lord.
Like I was a fucking criminal.
And now you're trying
I
to
was
do
a fucking
right.
criminal. Like, and this is no shit. I was a criminal. I was fucking good at it, dude. I could take $40 worth of household cleaning supplies and turn it into $4,000 meth. And like, you know what I'm saying? Like I was great at it, But I'm not doing that anymore. I'm fucking.
You don't do that.
I'm on the straight and narrow. You know what I'm saying? Because like, it was funny. I was on a date with a girl the other day, and I was just telling her. She was asking me because I'd kind of told her about my past a little bit, because
You're dating her.
yeah, and she, you got to do that when you date people, kind of let them know who you are.
Yeah.
But she, I started telling her about some of the wild shit I used to do, and she just was looking at me like dead face, like. I was like,
shit.
What's up? She's like, that is psychotic. I'm not going to get into it because there might still be active warrants for that. I don't know.
I stopped talking to people in general, just out in public, because usually the look that I see on people's face halfway through what I'm saying, I'm just like, maybe I should just shut the fuck up.
Yeah, but a lot of for me, it's all me because I'm saying stupid shit 90% of the time.
Right. Just for the record, I don't have any warrants.
Matt has no warrants.
No warrants.
Matt is not his real name.
Yeah. Anyway, but yeah, man, and I don't know. I just like that's why I can't do drugs. One of the side effects to meth is like
okay.
one of the side effects to just meth or any sort of stimulants and stuff like that is like you're paranoid the FBI is after you. Well, I made sure that they were. I mean, if I'm gonna worry about it, I'm gonna make sure that they're actively after
make game
me.
out of
Like
it.
it's gonna be a valid worry. No, I'm just playing. But yeah, I don't know. I just get unhinged and like. I don't know, have you guys ever done meth?
No, I've never done meth.
Dude, it takes
my problem was alcohol.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Mine was too. But dude, like it just takes your entire moral compass away, and like your eyes will shake, right?
Yeah.
So what that does is like, say I'm looking at this curtain right here.
When you're
high on it.
When you're high on
It'll
it.
just shake.
Okay.
Very lightly. So when I'm looking at this curtain right here, it looks like somebody's coming through it. Right. And it's crazy. It's like
not in the way like mushrooms or things they're breathing.
And like every time I would do it, like this for a lot of people, this happens like day 2 or 3. But for me, as soon as I'd hit it, I would just go into psychosis, right? Like immediately. Like I would hit this shit. And I'd be sitting here, and I would swear to God.
So day 3.
Day 3, I'm a menace.
Okay.
Right.
Oh God.
I'm a menace.
So how long is like your longest meth binge? Like I've heard people go like 2 weeks without sleep and shit.
Oh no, I never went that long. If I would have went that long, I'd been on CNN.
Sure.
Like that's no.
I mean, that's usually the end result. But
well, see, and what I would do is like I would do the shit, and I would get real anxious. So in order to even that out, I'd be like, God, I'm super anxious. To even that out, I would rail a 40 milligram Opana, which is the strongest opiate on the planet, behind fentanyl.
What's it called?
Really?
Opana.
Oh, Opana.
So they
Never
quit
even
making
heard of it.
Oxycontin. They quit making Oxycontin, the good ones, the ones you could grind up, in 2009. So then the pharmaceutical company was like, all right, well, we'll give you Opana, which is Oxycontin morphine combined.
Oh!
Wow.
Right? So they're like, So the Oxycontin goes away. Then
So they just make it better.
dude, they're
Yeah.
like, here's something stronger, right?
Right.
Dude. And
Something that
so
just...
like, I'll give you
And
the
it was called Opana?
Opana.
Oh, Panda.
Dude, they're
Opana.
dude, it tickles my belly every time I even talk about them. I love them.
Oh, I see.
They are-
Your body has the taste to
Dude,
it.
they were wild, dude. They made Oxycontin look like aspirin. Like they were stronger and just lasted longer. And yeah, so they shut all the pill mills down in Kentucky probably around 2009, 2010, and that's right when they quit making Oxycontin. So it was a rough year in Kentucky in 2009. Everybody was real bummed out. So when they shut the pill mills down in Kentucky, all these doctors in Florida got together and started getting these like super center doctor's office. And we would drive down from Kentucky, 5 people in a car, and we would go to these we would go to multiple of these pain management clinics, and we would ride
And this
back.
is before they were doing the databases and shit, I imagine.
It was like
Yeah.
there was a window of
How
time. There was a window of time, probably a couple years, because it took forever for them to get that shit in place. But from like 2010 to about 2014, man, you know, like I know just me and my friends rode back up with about 30,000 pills one time,
Holy shit.
and we had hit several different places, and you know, we were just one group of people. There was thousands of the people from Kentucky going down there and doing that same thing. And yeah, it was crazy. Then eventually they shut those down, and then that's when heroin started popping up because all the pills were gone. See, this is what they did. A couple things they did to us is like, one, they give us this Oxycontin in the late 90s and then said it's not addictive, and then we're paying doctors to push that shit, right? And
Which they did.
And they did. I mean, you go in there with a hangnail and they give you 90 OC80s a month. You know what I mean? Like, motherfuckers going to get teeth pulled, getting scripts of Roxy 30s for 4 months. Like, you know what I mean? Like 50 of them. And then, you know, once they got everybody good and strung out on Oxycontin, then they came out with Suboxone. So it's like, here, we created this problem. Here's the solution to it.
That's kind of like methadone, right?
Yeah, and methadone and Suboxone are arguably worse for you than
The
heroin.
actual heroin.
And
Yeah.
you can't get off of them when you're on them, I believe, right?
Well, you're taking
That's
the
like another
Suboxone or the methadone to get off of heroin, but
Yeah.
then you're strung out on the fucking Suboxone or the
And I'll tell you this, after, you know, coming off of both of those, the Suboxone and methadone is way harder to come off of than just straight heroin.
Really?
Yeah, the methadone withdrawals last almost a month. And I'm talking about like hardcore, like this shit gets down in your bones. I never did take methadone like that because I always knew that. But, you know, I did do Suboxone periodically just to hold me over until I found heroin.
So my mother was all caught up into that. She had back issues and everything, and to the point where she was taking methadone to get off of the painkillers, I guess, whatever she was on. But my mother always shared, so she gave me one of the methadone, and it was the worst. Like, I thought it was going to be the greatest. I thought it was going to feel like heroin. It was 24 hours. I was so nauseated, so sick. It was just the fucking worst. But back before that, they were giving her somas, and somas are actually non-narcotic. They were giving her other things, and so she was taking the other things, the things that were heavily narcotic, but giving me the somas. So, but she was also going to different doctors at the time, allegedly, and so I would get a couple of scripts of somas of 60 each, and dude, I was just soma highs, man, are like the fucking best thing for me, because it was like almost like it essentially, like, it made me want to fuck automatically. Like, once they started kicking, it made me want to fuck. But then if like I was playing music, it made me like really want to play music. It was just like, it was one of those things like it just took whatever mood I was in and like just amped it. And it got to the point where, like, it just, like, my band, Horror Magnet, was formed on somas. Our first song was called Saucer Full of Somas. It was one of those things, like, me and one of my best friends from high school, we had two completely styles of music that we listen to, that we play. We never could. Like, we joked about if we ever made an album together, it'd be like, this shit ain't working or something like that, right? But we were doing so much. Like we would jam 3 or 4 times, and like it just nothing ever came out of it. So like the 5th or 6th time, whatever, I went over there, and I just went over there with a bunch of fucking somas. I downed 3. I was like, here, man, take 3. He downed 3. And then, like, we recorded everything that we ever did. And that night, we played music together for the first time. Once that shit started to kick in and everything, and we fucking smoked a couple of joints, fucking started playing fucking, I played bass, he played guitar. And, dude, we started just writing music all of a sudden. Like, everything clicked all of a sudden. I was in, at that same time, I was in a marriage with my second wife. And then friends of ours that were coming over, girls and stuff, like I would leave the room and like one of our friends would come over, like girls, not a friend, but a girlfriend, but not like a girlfriend. They'd come over, we'd smoke a joint and everything, it'd be me, my wife, and her. I'd leave the room and I'd come back in and like me and my wife were just whacked out on the fucking somas and shit. And the next thing I know, my wife and the chick is fucking kissing on the fucking couch. They got to be this whole
Sounds
fucking
like you've
thing.
had a long history with these somas.
About 10 years.
10 years.
Then one day,
Somas are wild.
summers are great.
Okay.
But then one day I woke up and I had my day off and I always started off with 3. I popped 3, then I'd do 3 more about 30 minutes later, then about an hour later I'd do 3 more, and then like every hour I just constant. Cause there was so many. And then one day I fucking got up, rolled a joint, made my coffee, fucking got ready for my fucking weekend off, fucking took 3, and I just felt sick, just real sick, and then just started to vomit, just got really nauseated and everything, and I was like, well, that's fucked up. And so then I was like, well, maybe, I'm feeling, it's like there's something else wrong. It's not, who knows what the fuck it is. So I skipped a day. Next day, I think it was like that Sunday or Monday or something like that, maybe even after work, I fucking took 3 more and got nausea, and even worse than the last time. So then I waited a few more days, popped 3 more, and it was just like relentless. And I was just like, my body was telling me that was like, you're done, dude. You've cashed your chips in. You've done this shit for fucking 10 years. Who knows what the fuck this is doing to you? My body just said nope and stamped my fucking card. Couldn't do them ever again. We used to do Robitussin as kids. We did Robitussin for about a year straight, and then one day I was doing it with my best friend.
When it had alcohol in it still or something.
No, I wish. No, actually, NyQuil is the one that had alcohol in it.
That's the one.
But,
okay.
man, so, you've got to, be, really into, Jägermeister or something like that to take on NyQuil. Because NyQuil is just that step up above above Jaeger. If you think Jaeger is disgusting.
Is pretty bad.
NyQuil is horrid. But much better buzz if you can do it, right? But no, we would do Robitussin to the point where, we were hiding the empty bottles underneath my bed to the point where we couldn't get any more bottles underneath my bed.
Jeez.
And then, I don't know, man. I guess I was fucking maybe 18 or something like that. We had been doing them straight for about fucking every other day, doing a bottle of Robitussin, 8-ounce bottle of Robitussin each. It didn't matter what we were doing. It was just the greatest fucking thing. It was God's gift. It was mana. And then a friend of mine never did it before and decided, hey man, let's fucking do it. And then again, nauseated as fuck. I mean, it was relentless. And it was just to the point where it's like, well, I guess I'm not doing this anymore. It was just it was fucked up because, I would try to do it again maybe about a month or so later. And again, the same result. And I think what it is my body is just, it just punches that card and boom, I'm done.
I wish my body would do that, man. Mine was just give me all this shit all the time, forever, until you die.
Yeah, take it all.
Yeah.
Well, my parents were junkies, but the one thing that I learned from my parents is that they didn't get into any one thing. They got into everything, but they didn't get in, and that was the secret to their success as far as being junkies. They loved to get high, and they would get high on anything, and it didn't fucking matter what it was. But the only time that my mom really got fucked up in anything is when she had the back surgery and she had the constant of the opioids. But other than that, before that, before my stepfather fucking left, man, I remember coming home and I wound up leaving my first wife, and I had to move in with my mom and stepdad. And they just got in touch with an old friend of theirs, and he had started selling coke. And he would come over. I remember one day I came home from work, and he had this big ball of coke, and my stepfather was buying a big chunk. I don't even know what he paid for it. He was like, "Hey, man, do you need any?" And I was just like, "I mean, I got $20, man. Can you get?" I didn't know what $20 worth was. I figured, like a little bump or something like that. He breaks off this fucking huge fucking piece. I was like, holy. He had this snowball.
Wow.
Right? So he just breaks me like it was nothing. Here, $20. Dude.
Nice.
So it was like my stepfather started mainlining the shit. Like I would walk in and my stepfather would be mainlining it. And then it got to the point where he would just start mainlining anything, any type of pill, anything. He would cook it up, fucking draw it up, fucking stab it, and man, just everything. But when he was doing the coke and everything, it was insane. I was just like, and he was like, "Here, man, you want to do it?" I was like, "No, I don't want to mainline coke." And I stopped doing coke. It was during this time too. It was like I started doing like a lot. There was so much coke going around. It was ridiculous. I couldn't.
Yes, this must have been like the 80s or something.
No, it was like late 90s, almost 2000. It was like may have been. It was probably 99, like summer of 99. I was getting ready to go to work, and I was smoking a fucking joint, and I was really, really stoned. I was like, well, I'll do a couple of lines of coke, because it was. So I was like super fucking high, and I looked at myself in the mirror, and my eyes were super red. So this is the one thing, if you're doing cocaine, never use Visine, because as soon as I dropped the fucking Visine in my eyes, I blew out the blood vessels in my fucking eyes. They just went poosh. Oh. Yeah, they just went poosh.
And then you look worse.
I didn't realize it.
You look like a demon.
I didn't realize it because, like I went ahead and got it. I was sitting in my car. I was warming my car up. And I fucking put the Visine, I'm sitting there and I'm adjusting the fucking rear view. And when I adjust the rear view, I saw my eyes were just a fucking kaleidoscope of red. And all my blood vessels were gone. I was like, holy fuck, what do I do now? Dude. Oh my goodness. Oh, it was horrible.
So you stopped doing coke after that?
That was like I don't like coke, man. I'm not a big coke, but if someone like say I used to be the dude, like if you gave me something, I did it. It didn't matter if you gave me acid, coke, whatever. I mean, I never done heroin before. I've never done meth because no one's offered it to me. But like I was always an equal opportunity. I mean, it's just like I always wanted the experience of it. So like I never turned anything down. Now crack was something that was like I almost lost my first wife to crack just because of the fact that did I ever tell you about the Opryland tickets?
No, the Opryland tickets sound like a familiar story.
Okay, so the very last year that Opryland was open, my stepfather and my mom had acquired bundles, like cash bundles of these Opryland tickets called Trickets. They were 3-day passes, and you could get them from for I guess like $14.99, $19.99, something like that. A stupid, ridiculous price because like if you lived here, you more or less would get a season pass to the Opryland theme park back when Nashville had a theme park.
Yeah, I remember those days.
Right. So anyway, my neighbors, we lived on Deal Ave, D-E-A-L Avenue. It was one of those things where it was just like my neighbors on one side was on crack, my neighbors on this shotgun house was on crack, across the street, it's like everybody was on fucking crack on Deal Avenue. Well, my neighbors over here in the shotgun house.
Was this in the Nations?
It's close to the Nations. It is West Nashville.
Wow.
So
that's the white ghetto for those of you that don't know. Old Nashville, the
Right.
Nations was the white ghetto.
At one time. It's pretty gentrified now.
I mean, it all is now.
It's on the other side of White Bridge Road.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the white area.
Yeah.
Where the white's at.
Right. But, hold on, let me do a shot because I'm a little parched here.
Okay.
All right.
Crackheads.
White people and trailer people.
Okay.
Trailer people.
Most of the shit that I would hear in the middle of the night around 2:30 in the morning, I would hear, "You stole my bump," shit like that. And it was all a derivative from this little like shanty shotgun shack kind of thing that was wedged in between two houses. and there was about 4 or 5 individuals that lived there. There was one guy, his name was, all white dudes, except for the chick. There was a dude who looked like a crypt keeper. Like someone at one point at a bar fight broke a fucking bottle and dug this motherfucker's nose out.
No shit.
No shit.
Yeah. God.
Like I keep seeing the trailer for Fallout. You know, you guys see the Coggins and the Fallout.
Well, I've seen the first couple
That,
episodes.
okay, well, this is that dude, right? And then he had his wife, and he pimped his whole wife out.
Why?
Wow.
I'll get to that here in a minute. And then there was this little shaggy little motherfucker named Word, and this dude looked like someone has just been beating on him his whole entire life. I mean, he's just this broken little dude, and every time you say something to him, you go Word, and they would call him Word every time. Everything Word. I don't know if he could say another word. All I ever heard him say was Word. So Word comes over, and he asked me for a bud. So they can sleep. I mean, I already knew what they were doing. I had kind of talked to them previously, and they had asked me if I wanted to do a bump. And I was like, no, I'm not into that. But I'm standing at the door with my future first wife. And Word, after I give Word the bud, he offers for me and the wife to come over and do a couple of bumps. As I'm saying no, my wife, future ex-wife, is saying yes. And I looked at her and I was like, you want to go over and do crack? And she's like, sure, fuck it. We had nothing to do, apparently, than to go over there and do crack. So now we're going over there.
Did you guys go over and do crack?
So we went over there and did crack.
Nice.
And so,
yeah.
So like they passed me like the antenna. So like if you're missing your antenna,
For crack.
9 out of 10
it's
times it's
crack
probably
kids.
for crack. So they had, it's not Brillo, it's Chore Boy, right? They had the front of like a filter. It's like Brillo, but it doesn't have the shit on it. And so then they're like, you know, they're holding it up and they're dropping like the little tiny like bumps of fucking crack. It's like kind of like yellow. It doesn't look white. It looks like yellow.
Yeah.
And they're like, you know, just kind of hit it until it, you know, just kind of lightly hit it until it fucking like hits the Chore Boy. And then you can get a real good hit of it. You know, you don't want it to like drop out, or you don't want it to go straight down into there. So like weed, the first time I smoked a joint, I never got high. I didn't get high until later on that night when I smoked a joint with some other friends that night, you know. So like then I didn't get high at all. It's just like, you know, my fucking wife got high. Everybody else was, you know, they were all geeking and shit like that. I felt fucking nothing. So then they were calling over their dude. I had plenty of weed to smoke, so I'm just smoking weed with everybody, right? So they called their dude over, and this dude's like a tall dude and like weird. It was like he had like it was like a Western crack dealer, like in the Old West. Like crack was in the Old West. He was like a tall, lanky dude, like the Grim Reaper if he was like a cowboy. He had like the brimmed black hat and the trench coat and everything. And he walks in and he's
like
like
the Undertaker of crack.
Thank you, but very, very slim, like
Cocaine cowboy, per se.
Thank you. Yes,
Cocaine cowboy.
exactly. So everyone is like, you know, they're like giving them whatever money that they have, and they're getting everything, you know, and everyone's getting ready to commune, because apparently that's what they do. Everyone communed, everyone got their equal share, you know, and whatever. And then like dude asked me if I wanted anything, and I said, well, I don't have any money, which I lied, but I'm not going to pay for crack. And I was like, I've got these Opryland tickets, man. Right?
You traded Opryland tickets for crack?
Dude, so I was like, I got these Opryland tickets. They're 3-day passes. You know, you sell them for blah, 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 but I'm selling them for $15. Like, what would you take for them? It was like, oh, yeah. So he wound up, you know, breaking me off this big old bump and everything, and I can't remember exactly what the exchange was, but it was nothing compared to what I had. I had 2 stacks of these things, right? So over the course of 2 weeks, I've been selling these here and there to people and everything just for the extra money, but for the most part, most of these tickets went to this dude.
And you got them for free, right? So
Yeah.
you just basically got free crack?
So pretty much, yeah,
Free crack.
for 2 weeks. Now, at the end of this 2 weeks, he was asking me if I wanted any more crack, and I was like, no, I'm out of tickets. But my wife, however, future ex-wife, wound up continuing to do crack to the point where she was going on rides with this one woman named Martha, and they were essentially just middlemaning, where she was essentially driving Miss Martha, around to the crack deals and doing their little bumps that they get off and everything. And I told her, I was like, if you don't stop this right now, I'm done. Either I'm going to get the fuck out of here or you're going to get the fuck out of here.
Yes.
But you have caught the fucking, the addiction. It was just like one of those things where it's just like, this got to stop right now.
Yeah, that's not.
Yeah. So it took her about a week, but she wound up stopping. And like the whole time, just like, I'm trying to keep tabs on her and everything. And she's got her thing with Martha. And I even told Martha straight up, I was like, don't contact her again. I mean, it got to the point where it's just
fuck
like
Martha, dude.
it was bad.
I hate a bitch named Martha.
Yeah. It was.
Everybody knows a raggedy bitch named Martha. I got jokes about
true.
that. I've met some fucked up.
Raggedy
That
old
year
Martha.
was the year that Opryland closed down, and I believe that the reason why Opryland closed down because it was just marauded with all these crackheads. All these crackheads had all these fucking Opryland trickets, and they were just going in.
Well, I mean, man, Opryland there towards the end, I mean, in the late 90s was just very dangerous to be at anyway. All the rides, it was all run down and shit. They needed to tear it down.
And I don't even really remember that time at all.
I actually had really good memories.
I had a lot of good memories of Hickory Hollow Mall, but
There was a point, like, I think my high school, like, class of 91, that was pretty much the last year that Hickory Hollow was cool. At that point, it started to go downhill. You started seeing, like, a lot of the gangs. Like, when I was in high school is when we really started to see the gangs come in and started to see the shootings.
So speaking of gangs, I got a story about that. I started working at the. You guys familiar with the Southern? It's a restaurant downtown.
Called the Southern?
Yeah, called the Southern Steak and Oyster. It's on 2nd Avenue, right by the diner.
I think I've been to it before for like a work dinner.
I started working there, and I became friends with the guy that was working next to. Saute guy. I'm not gonna say his name.
Yeah, don't say that. Peter.
Yeah.
He was a Hispanic fellow. We'll call him Alejandro.
Pedro.
Alejandro.
Yeah. I became friends with Alejandro, and we started hanging out, right? And then one night, I'm hanging. He became like my best friend. And then I didn't have a car at the time, so I needed rides home, and he would take me home pretty much every night from work, and we would get into some shenanigans. It started off, we were just drinking, having a good time. Then we started committing
Committing what?
felonies. Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. And I didn't think nothing of it. I was a piece of shit.
You started with stealing stop signs.
We were,
and
yeah. I mean, we were, just not paying taxes, and you know what I mean.
I see.
But anyway, it's crazy is
Were you stealing stop signs?
yeah, we were stealing stop signs.
Stealing stop signs
Yeah.
and not paying taxes.
Yeah, jaywalking. Nothing too serious. You know what I mean? Nothing too serious. But anyway, so I mean, like I said, I'm in the throes of my craziness. So I'm down. I'm like, fuck it, let's do it. I don't give a fuck.
How old are you now?
What's up?
How old are you now?
I'll be 35 next month.
Right on.
Okay.
But
Okay.
this has probably been 5 years ago, I guess. And yeah, man. So then one night we go to a club, right? And there's a line out the door, and we walk up, and I'm like, dude, it's gonna take us forever to get in here. And he's like, no, it's not. So we walk up, they just open the door for us, and we walk past, and I'm like, oh, that's cool. And then we go to the VIP section, and I'm sitting over there, and we're just like, they're bringing bottles and shit. I don't know if you've ever bought a bottle in a club, but it's like $700. Right?
I've only seen it in movies.
Dude, they were bringing like all kinds of them, man.
A bottle of what?
Like tequila.
like alcohol.
Wow.
Patron.
Oh, so they were
Buy a
literally
bottle at the
charging you
club.
per shot in the bottle. Like they're not even giving you.
Oh no, dude!
Yeah.
If you go to a club and buy a bottle, like a bottle of fucking
Upcharge.
Grey Goose is like $400. If you buy the whole bottle, yeah, they murder you on that. You'd be cheaper to actually buy it from shots.
Yeah.
But when you're in the VIP sections in these clubs, these motherfuckers are ballers, So we're sitting there and, they're bringing all this shit. It's like thousands of dollars worth of booze. I was like, dude, I got like $100, man. You know what I mean? Like, I can't give you any money on this or anything. He's like, don't worry about it, Poppy.
Poppy.
Yeah, he called me Poppy. He called me Poppy all the time. But me and him, he was like, yeah, me and the owner are like this. I own part of this club. And I'm like,
You're a part of this club.
So that's a scene in a movie. Because then next thing you know, you realize that dude's not a part owner of the club.
so I was like, what the fuck? I work with you. We got a line cook job, brother. Who are you? Like, what do you mean? And then he pulls up, he was on a TV show.
Wow.
He was on a TV show that they did about gangs. I'm not going to say which one. But I'd seen this episode because they did an episode on Nashville, and he was the leader of the gang that they did the expose on. And they interviewed him. It was all about him. And, like, I went back and he showed me his picture on Google, and I, like, tripped out with the... Yeah, and he's like he said he was one of the leaders of one of the bigger gangs here in Nashville.
That is nuts.
And he was just working that job to keep parole off of him. And
Wow.
this gang had a lot of violence go on, and they got into it with another group, and there was like a gang war, and they came out on top, his group.
Yeah.
And like they pushed a major gang that was trying to move up into Nashville back out. And like I said, I can tell you guys off camera who that gang was.
I really don't
But-
want to know now.
Right. And I was like, and he shows me the Google, and he's looking at it, and he's laughing because, like, you'd have to understand Alejandro. Like, meeting that guy, he had very deep eyes. you
He's
know what I
been
mean?
through some shit.
You look at him in the eyes, and you're like, that guy may have killed somebody before.
Yeah.
You know, he just had the look about him, you know. But I was, wow, I'm just a wild-ass honky, dude. So I'm like, let's get in here and do something. You know?
Yeah, let's hang
And then
out.
I
Let's
started
do
running
stuff.
around doing shit with him, right? And then, especially after he told me that, I really got into some shenanigans with these Mexican gangsters. And, but one night, he's like going to the hookah lounge. He's like, hey man, come with me to the hookah lounge. And I was like, okay. And I was like, let me get ready, and I'll call you. And then I called him. He never called me back. Well, he goes to the hookah lounge, and as he was coming out of the hookah lounge, gets shot 3 times. Yeah, and I didn't go that night. You know, he didn't answer my phone.
Jesus Christ.
There was one night. You remember Hermitage Cafe, right?
Yeah.
There was one night we were in
Hermitage.
Hermitage Cafe. It was like me and him and one other guy. And there was a group of bros that walked in, like 6 or 7 of them. And they were yelling racist shit at us, right? And dude was like talking to me. They're over here yelling. We're just ignoring it. And they said something finally, and he's talking to me. And he never breaks eye contact, just mid-sentence, gets up, throws a chair, because they're all sitting down, right? Throws a chair as he's talking to me, and then I see him do this. And I'm like, I've got to throw this chair too. So I threw my chair, right? And so then they're distracted because, like, the first one hit, they're like, what the fuck? And then when they got up, they got hit with my chair, right?
Yeah.
And then they kind of knocked them all back down because they're coming out of a booth. And then we got over there and we just had them locked in the booth. And me and Dude are trying to like keep these guys in the booth. And then his buddy comes over there and grabs coffee off of the table and just pours it on a guy's face. We tore that whole place up, like
Wow.
just fighting
Dude,
to the
just
death
a
with these
brawl
guys. Yeah, it was insane.
In that small little diner.
And you know what's crazy is like that exact situation has happened to me several times. So
That's a movie.
I was working at another restaurant. This is earlier before I started working at the Southern. I was working at Cane Prime, which is the nicest steakhouse in all of Nashville, right? And again, I didn't have a car, and we had this dishwasher. He was this guy. His name was we'll call him Jordan. He was a bigger guy, right? And I needed a ride home, and I was like, hey, man, do you care to give me a ride home? And he was like, yeah, man, I really can't drive too good, though. You care to drive? And I'm like, why? You know, he's like in his mid to late, mid 30s, early 40s. I'm like, what do you mean you can't drive, dude? He was like, yeah, I just did 20 years in prison for murder.
Oh, wow.
I got locked up. I got locked up when I was 14. And I was like,
Wow.
I didn't get the chance to drive.
14?
yes. Yeah. I mean, he killed somebody,
Yeah. Was his daddy, stepdaddy?
Nah, I think it was like, he was also involved in gang life. And I think it was gang related.
I see.
So, he spent 20, 25 years in prison. He was,
Couldn't drive. No one taught him how to drive.
right. But while he was in there, he was already affiliated with a certain organization and he became like, because he'd been in there so long, he moved up the ranks and was making a lot of fucking money in prison. So he rolled out of there. He told me he rolled out of prison with 90,000, right?
Wow.
Right, because of all the side hustles and all that. This motherfucker, he had a brand new BMW on 24s. You know what I mean?
Wow.
Super decked out car, but couldn't drive it real good, right? Because when he got out, he tried. I mean, like when I first met him, he'd been out like a month, and he'd really only been driving for a month. So he started giving me rides home, and we would be riding, and he'd be like, "You got to be home right now, or you got anything to do?" I'm like, "No, I sure don't." He's like, "You want to drive me around for a little bit?" And I was like, "Yeah, man, sure, dude."
So you get to drive a nice.
Dude, I was driving this guy around. All right, so I'll just give you kind of like I'll give you kind of just an example of a normal night, because me and this guy hung out real tough for about 6 months.
Nice.
And then
Were you driving the whole time?
I would drive him everywhere, and dude, we would end up in the wildest shit. So the first time, I'll just tell you about the first time. I drive him. I'm like, where am I going? He's like, all right, we're going to go over here. We're going to pick this girl up. We're going to drop her off over here. And we're going to go pick these other 2 girls up. We're going to take them to Walmart. And then we're going to drop them back off, pick this girl up. Then we're going to go over here.
Were they babies, mamas, or
No,
hoes?
dude, I'll get into it. So what we were doing is the first girl we were picking up was a prostitute.
Right.
Going to drop her off at a Trick's house.
Sure.
She had 2 hours.
2 hours.
2 hours. We drop her off. We go get these other 2 girls. He takes them to Walmart. They have a key to the electronic thing in the back.
Oh,
where the phones and shit are.
Yeah.
They roll in there. We drop them off, and they roll in there with that key, and they emptied the electronics shelf out. I'm talking about laptops, phones, fucking... Dude, it was like $8,000 worth of shit that they come back out of there with. I'm not even playing. And like, dude, the dude is sitting there like, he's sitting there in the driver's seat at this point, and he's like sleeping. And I'm like, dude, what are you doing? He's like, they're gonna be a minute. I'm like, brother, they're committing grand larceny. We need to be on alert.
Yeah.
So I was like, here, let me jump in the driver's seat, because I was like, when we went up there and dropped them off, I immediately knew what the fuck was going on. Because at first, I thought we were just giving a ride. Same as we did the previous woman, just.
Yeah.
But you were waiting on this one.
Yeah. So then, like, they're like, "All right, Daddy, we'll be right back." Before they went in, and then that's when I was like, they're going to steal shit. And dude, like, what they came out, dude, they had to have came out of there with every phone and laptop that they had in that fucking case. I'm talking about brand new iPhones, Androids, fucking MacBooks. Like, they had 6 of those.
Wow.
I mean, those are $1,000.
Well, there's no like attendants, there's no cashiers, they don't have anyone in departments anymore. They could walk right in and take whatever the fuck they want.
Especially, that was when Walmart was still 24 hours. Nobody's in that department at night. They shut that area down.
Right.
Dude.
Right.
So then we dropped them off, go pick that bitch up. I turned down a wrong street, and he's like, man, we can't be over here. They're going to shoot at us over here. And I was like, fuck. So I tried to turn. I thought I was turning out of the neighborhood.
And you went right into it.
I went deeper into it, and then we did get shot at because they did know his car. It was very noticeable. So I'm fucking whipping after we just got shot at, and then we go pick the bitch up. This is the first fucking night. This is the first night. We go pick the bitch up. Dude only gave her half the money, so dude is a big guy.
The prostitute from the very beginning.
Yeah, Jordan is a very big guy. And the chick, she come out the car, she's like, this motherfucker slapped me around, and he didn't give me but half the money. And then, so he looks at me, he's like, white boy, keep the car running. And I'm like, all right. I got you. So I'm sitting there. He goes in there and absolutely just annihilates this guy. Cleans his whole fucking shoebox of money that he had in his closet. I don't know why he didn't give her all the money. She was very beautiful. I would have gave her all the money.
Right. Sure.
But he goes in there and finds this shoebox full of money after completely just wrecking his face.
Yeah.
And then comes back out with it. I mean, that cost him way more than he was going to have to spend on that piece of pussy.
Exactly.
Which is wild.
Sure.
And then when I get in the car, he's like, "White boy, here's your chunk." And he give me like $1,000 of this dude's money that he just took.
Wow.
Yeah. And he's like, "Man, you been fucking with me all night. We about to go have fun." So then we go to a house. And it's just a house in the neighborhood out north. And it's just, it's a gambling house. And it's just 24 hours a day. There's somebody, people just circle in and out of there. They got their own lottery. They got a room in the back for craps and cards. And they have like the kitchen's like a little store. You can buy like fucking fruit pops and fucking Kool-Aid and shit. They got a residential prostitute that just hangs out. She's got a room in the back. You just slide in, throw her some money, you can fuck.
So they had their own little Vegas.
Dude, there was a gambling house, bro. So like there I am, right? There I am. I'm in. It's like 3 in the fucking.
And everyone calls you white boy.
Oh yeah, dude. They loved me. I swear I had the best time of my life, dude. I'm in there fucking bitches and smoking blunts, dude. They have a brick of coke open where they're just taking rips out of that. And then there I was. It was like 3 o'clock in the morning. And I'm rolling dice on the back porch with all these motherfuckers, and I'm up like $5,000. And this was the first night.
Yeah.
This was the first night hanging out with this guy, and we got into all kinds of shenanigans like that all the time. But eventually, yeah. And I mean, it was fun. It was crazy and dangerous every time I did it. But
yeah.
You know, that's just one example of like I seen that.
But
dude.
it was good.
It was good. I seen that dude beat up a lot of people. You know, he did eventually get caught. What got him caught up and sent back? I think he's probably back in prison now still. But what got him caught up and sent back to prison is the stealing from the store.
From the store.
The store. Yeah, they eventually got him on camera enough, like picking people up, taking him, that they went and got him.
No shit.
Yeah, yeah. One night, I think where I realized I was like, I need to get up out of this and stop being in the middle of all this. Is one night we were driving and there was like I saw an undercover that followed us around for the entire night in the same car. You know, 'cause I've like over the years of being in criminal activity, you get real self-aware of all the shit that's going on. You know, and cars looking the same. Like, you know, like as much as, you know, I used to make a lot more money selling dope and doing all that and being crazy, but the peace that I have now from just being a tax-paying citizen, although it does get aggravating sometimes, I don't think I'd trade it, man, because
it's very hard to walk the
nice,
straight and narrow because, you know, you have opportunities where you're probably not doing, you know, the right thing, which would pay more, and you're suffering because you are trying to walk the straight and narrow. I mean, you're trying to work your 40-hour fucking week and this, that, and the other. It's just like, you know, I could see where, you know, someone would want to dip to the other side.
yeah, and it does. I'm not gonna say it doesn't get tough sometimes, because sometimes, especially when I'm struggling, like in a financial state, I could be like, you know, I'll just sit there and be like, I could make, you know, 8-hour drive and make $8,000 real quick. You know what I mean? But like I said, the anxiety with all that, because I used to run stuff across the country a lot. That was another thing that I did for a while, and I'll just say it. I used to run dope. That's what I used to do. But I used to run
What in
dope.
particular, like weed or
Anything.
Right on.
It was like, I had some people that I worked with, and they were they were kind of based up in the Midwest, and I would run whatever they needed run. I'd do it for them.
Yeah, they pay you well, and
but it was a goddamn
crazy.
stressful. Yeah, because then then I would run into situations where the people that I was meeting tried to rob me a couple times, and then that got real hectic.
Yeah, dude, that's got to be terrifying.
So you had a gun pulled on you directly?
Yeah, shot at and close range,
Dang.
and it's
Close range?
oh yeah, dude, I got straight. Yeah, I got straight. I got.
Have you ever taken a bullet?
Uh-huh.
You have taken a bullet?
Yeah, I don't like saying that on really.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Yeah, you don't have to talk about anything that you're not comfortable talking about. I
Yeah,
wanna
maybe.
say that
Yeah, I mean it's
first.
fine. It's already out there. But yeah, I had a situation where that did happen, and and it's probably one of the worst feelings ever. It's a very,
I mean-
it's a mind-numbing situation.
Being under the stress or being shot?
Both, all of it. Because then it was one of those things I didn't go to the hospital over either.
You can't. Yeah.
So,
Yeah, you can't.
I
That's-
didn't, and I dug it out myself with a knife. And
Wow.
yeah, and the way that it went in, it didn't go super deep into me.
Like a low 22
so it
or
wasn't
something like
so
that.
when I say I
Yeah.
dug it out, it just had to pop.
Beep.
Yeah, it was like
I
because it just
see.
kind of went at an angle. It didn't hit really any major muscles or anything. It was really just kind of in my skin, and it hurt like a motherfucker.
Hurt like, oh, I bet it did, dude.
But yeah, and it's crazy. It's crazy now being on the other side of all that, and then when I do talk about it, which I rarely bring that up because I don't think it's cool. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
A lot of people glorify it.
Yeah,
you know,
there's
they
nothing-
romanticize it.
There's nothing to romanticize about that life at all. It was something that I got into because I was hurting real bad.
Poverty.
I'd lost my farm. I lost my farm, and my mother had just died, and that was like the
Yeah,
last
that's a
family
lot.
member that I had. And all that happened within a span of about 6 months. So my entire world got turned upside down, and
You were in your early 20s?
mid-20s.
Mid-20s.
And I
Mid-20s.
just lost my mind for a little bit because I can't begin to describe to you what it's like.
To lose everything like that.
Well, it's not even just that. It's like you can lose everything, but if you got your family to support you, it doesn't. You got your family. When I lost everything, I didn't have nobody. That was
It's true.
Like,
I
it's
did,
a-
I
like-
lost everything once, and
It's-
it was good to have my family.
right.
With me.
And, that's the thing about when your mama's here and when your parents are here. It's like everything in the world can go wrong, but you got a couch to go to, right? And like when my mom died, life got a lot more serious. Does that make sense? Because it's
Yeah.
like there ain't nobody coming to save me, and I like if I was to die right now, I don't know who would bury me. That's a wild thought.
Yeah.
I'm dealing with stuff that I started dealing with things in my mid-20s that people generally deal with when they're 75. You know what I mean? Like people get
True.
old, they lose.
50s,
You know what I mean?
yeah.
But I'm dealing with these same problems at a very young age, and there's still so many things that I need my parents for, like my mom for. Just because like legally in your mid-20s.
Were you close with your mom?
Very close.
Right on.
Sorry about that, man.
No,
That
it's all
sucks.
good. It was a
hard.
fucked up way that she went out, but so when all that happened, I just dove head first into just being crazy as fuck, and just because I didn't care, it didn't matter. I didn't care if I lived or died because there was nobody there to care. Does that make sense?
Yes.
So I went off the deep end and got really involved in a bunch of fuck shit, and it cost me dearly. Like I ended up doing a bunch of things that I would have never done, and I got to live with a lot of things that I did that hurt a lot of people, and I have to live with that now. And through my drug use and all that, I mean I've died 8-9 times.
Overdose?
Overdoses and
On what in particular?
stuff like that. And it's crazy is like I would have gotten sober a lot sooner, but I couldn't. I couldn't because going to rehab, like we were talking about while it was muted, is very expensive. It's cost about $30,000
Very
to go.
expensive to go.
Same
So
with-
is that
And a
covered
lot of
on
those
insurance?
places
Well, you
aren't
probably
good.
didn't have insurance anyway, right? Yeah.
Now, like Fortunately, one thing that they have done is like the state insurance, especially in Kentucky, will pay for a decent rehab. Like the state-run rehabs are the ones that are just fucking fucked up. You know, there's more drugs in there than there is like on the streets sometimes. Like those state-run rehabs that are free are fucked up. But like sometimes the state healthcare will pay for a better rehab.
Yeah.
And but going to rehab for a month, I can't work for a month, right? Or 2 months.
Exactly. That puts you
So
out.
not having anywhere to go, you know, as far as family help and support or anything like
I mean, you're on
that.
the street when you come out of it.
Yeah,
right?
and if I come out on the street, what's the point of being sober anyway, right? Right, and that was the struggle, and that's why I stayed out there as long as I did, because I had to out of necessity. I had to keep working to keep a roof over my head and to stay high. And, you know, I was barely making it. You know,
Yeah.
my bills were paid and I had a warm place to starve, but, like, I didn't, you know, I mean, there was no quality of life.
I like the warm
Yeah.
place to starve.
Yeah. I mean, that's basically that's what renting feels like in the city.
That's what it is. That's exactly what it is.
Yeah.
You have a
yeah,
warm
that
place
is
to starve.
true.
Warm place to start. And fortunately for me, and like I work in the food industry, and I guess what I sometimes forget and I appreciate about it so much working in the food industry is I don't have to pay for food. You know, like I eat most of the times I eat good at work, right? And I
You can
forget.
probably bring home something probably too.
Yeah, sometimes. Well, now what I've been doing is I have a good friend of me because I'm a chef. I hate cooking for myself, and because that's what I do all day. I have a friend of mine that meal preps for me, and I go get my meal preps every week, and that's what I eat when I'm not at work. And I'll get a fresh loaf of sourdough bread.
That's cool.
There you go.
Yeah. We were talking about something. Oh yeah, about my
Cooking
yeah. So like.
and
Everything. But you know, getting into that gangster shit like that was just purely out of just
the gangster
hurting
shit.
and not caring about myself. But it eventually all kind of came to a head in 2017, and just I had lost everything. There was some heat coming down on me and I had a bunch of my friends that had all started getting busted by the police, and I hadn't been busted yet, and I kind of saw the writing on the wall, so I just decided to quit everything and come to Nashville and start over and go back to work. And yeah, when I first came down here, it was rough, man, because I went from
You sounds like you split a lot of your time between Kentucky and Nashville too. Like on and off throughout your life.
Yeah, well, I mean, Nashville was like, this is where we would come to do like special, because it wasn't that far. Because I spent most of my life in Bowling Green, it's about an hour away, right? And we would come down here all the time, and then I would come down here doing fuck shit too, before I lived here. But yeah, I mean, we would come down here periodically because it's so close. But yeah, and I think when I got to the point where I was like, I'll do whatever it fucking takes not to fucking do this anymore, because I was perfectly fine just doing it, right? And when I moved to Nashville, that's when the heroin started, because when I moved here, it was still up there. It was all just like pills still, right? And the heroin hadn't really hit up there yet.
They still had access to pills.
Yeah, right. And then I come down here and I started buying pills, and they were just fentanyl. And that's when I overdosed the first time. It's because I would do 2 Roxy 30s at a time. Well, I bought 2 of those here and did it, and then they tell me I did like a gram of fentanyl.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's lethal.
Yeah, oh, dude, like a couple specks of that shit's lethal.
Yeah.
You know what's crazy is every time I overdose, because like it was such a wild situation. Every time I would go get it every other day, and I'm like, every time I go to get it, I would look at it and be like, this is gonna be the one that gets me, fuck it, let's do it anyway.
Did you ever have like a test kit or anything like that?
Just my nose.
Right.
So because I never shot it, I had class. God damn it. I never shot it, and I just anybody I ever saw put a needle in their arm, it didn't make their life any better. And I was like, I'm struggling enough with this as it is. I don't need to do this extra thing. But I would take some of the bag and I would just like do a little test bump of it.
Toot it?
Just like, it'd be like a match head, like a small little bump.
To see if you fell over.
See if it was where it was at.
Yeah.
Every time I overdosed, it was on that match head, that little test bump.
So you overdosed on the test bump.
Yeah. That's what I'm saying. Because, like, you can't just scoop.
Well, it was smart you did that, but at the same time, god damn,
You
that's
can't,
true.
dude. It would piss me off because I had a tolerance. You know what I mean?
But the fentanyl still kicked your ass.
Still kick my ass. I'm like, I do this every day. You know what I mean? And
Wow.
But that last time I overdosed was really was the worst one. Because I mean, every time you overdose, it sucks. But that last time, I had gotten sober for a while, and I was dating a girl that just hated me. We lived together, and I tried to get sober a few times while I was with her, but she had so much animosity towards me for good reason, because I did a bunch of fuck shit being on drugs, right? She didn't do drugs. I never dated anybody that was a drug addict. I'm like, I'm struggling enough with this as
You don't
it
need
is.
to. Right.
And
Yeah, it is harder, that's for sure. I've done that a few times.
And last time, though, I got sober for a while, but living with her was really hard because she hated me. And like I was telling she did. You know what I mean? And like you guys, it was like I was telling you guys earlier, like when you first get sober, everything is, your brain's fucked up, and then she's in my face all the time being like, you're a junkie piece of shit, or just reminded me of how I fucked up. And I'm like, I'm actively trying to do better right now, but you're just being a bitch, right?
Yeah,
So,
you're making it easier.
And eventually I got to the point where I'm like, well, if this is going to be what my life is, fuck it. I'm going to get high as fuck. So I started getting high again, and then I overdosed in the back of an Uber.
I'm into that.
Wow.
No, it's totally, it's hilarious. No, this situation
wow.
is crazy. So I got in this Uber. He took me to go get dope. I went and got it. Oh, dude. I had Uber drivers take me to go get dope all the time. Dude, fuck it. I'm paying you.
Uber drivers like to party too.
This
I
Uber
usually
driver.
get them to take me to Taco Bell.
That's funny. This Uber driver was from Turkmenistan. It was his second day in America.
Oh, and he's picking Matt West up. Dude,
I get in the car and he's got his Google phone.
he's going to learn about a lot. He's
Oh,
gonna learn
dude.
about America,
Translating.
dude.
Yes. He's like, I'm from Uzbekistan, second day. And I'm like, oh.
Oh.
So I had to go. It was literally a 10-minute ride there and then a 10-minute back. So I go there and I get it. I come out. I do some before I get into the Uber. And in that 10 minutes from there to get back to my house, I die in the back of this guy's car.
What?
Yeah.
Jesus, okay. And then,
So, dude, this is one of the craziest moments in my life, because this guy, my duplex was kind of hard to understand where my door was if you didn't know it.
Trying to wake you up.
okay.
He's trying to wake me up, and then he goes to the door and gets my girlfriend out of the house, which I don't know how he found it. Because, like I said, it's like
It's hard to find.
It's hard. So then
And he somehow found it.
So he comes and gets her. She pulls me out of the car. I've did this before. She knows what to do. She already knows what to do. But I quit breathing for 3.5 minutes.
Oh.
And they got there, and this is where it gets. This is where it's really crazy, and I'll never forget this. But I was sitting in the back of that guy's Uber, and then the next thing, I'm on a white horse with a big white beard, and there's a bunch of bearded men on horses next to me.
Okay.
And you got a white beard?
And I'm in front of them, right? I'm in front of all of them in this
You're
field,
leading
and
all of
across from
these
the field.
wizards.
Across from the field is like this zombie army people, right? And I'm just like riding straight towards these motherfuckers. And I've got the other bearded men with me, right? And I can feel the fucking earth, we're just galloping, the sun and the wind.
Straight up just having like
Yeah,
the
it was
battle of
dude like that. I was
fucking Mordor or some shit.
I was on the way out. I'll tell you that.
Yeah,
and I'm just like, I'd never been more happy in my life. Like nothing hurt, everything felt good.
That's what you saw.
That's what I felt. That's what I saw, and it was the best feeling ever. And then I'm riding, and right before I collide with this zombie army, the sun gets real big, and I'm in the ambulance.
Oh my god.
It was insane. I think about it. I think about it every day. And honestly,
happened.
that experience, immediately when I woke up from that, I was in one of the worst moments of my life, right? Because it's the realization that you had just been sober for a while, you didn't have to do this anymore, and then here you are. And then the paramedic that had revived me 3 other times, right?
Wow.
So he knew
knew you.
He knew my name. And when I woke up and came to, I look over at him, and he's looking at me, and he's like, "Welcome back, Mr. West. It's good to see you."
Wow.
And I remember looking at him and just being like, "Man, why don't you just let me die, dude? Just let me go."
You said that to him directly?
I said that to him. Yeah, because I was like, "Man, you've done this 4 times. So just let me go. Let me go next time, right?" And he's like, "What kind of man would I be to let a beautiful soul like yours go to waste?"
Oh, damn.
Man, I just started crying, because in that moment right there, I really didn't want to be there. And this complete stranger who didn't know me, who has to deal with motherfuckers overdosing constantly and bringing them back, even after seeing all that shit, and including myself having to revive me 4 times, he still had faith in what I could be.
Damn.
Yeah, I find that very interesting because I do hear similar stories from my cousin's perspective, because I actually have a couple of cousins that are paramedics for Nashville, through the fire department, and some of them like private companies and stuff. But yeah, so that's sick to hear.
Yeah, well, I
honestly.
mean, in that experience, just that moment right there is, I immediately, it was very soon after that, I went and got help. I went through a bunch of shenanigans for a couple weeks after that, but then I did eventually get help. That was the catalyst to start me to get help, because, I don't know, it was a crazy chain of events. So that situation happens, and then, like, I'm working at where I work at now, and I was telling you guys earlier how it used to be the entire kitchen was in the dining room, and all the people were there. So 2 or 3 days after this happened, after that situation happened, I was still doing heroin because I couldn't stop. And I nodded out in front of everybody in the dining room, cutting a piece of fish.
Holy shit.
Yeah. Yeah, dude, look. Dude.
That's like
You were
everyone's
standing up?
on you, dude.
I was standing up, yeah. So I went into the bathroom. So when I would do it at work, I would do 1 bump of heroin, then I would do 3 bumps of coke directly behind it. Because my mind, I'm like, all right, the cocaine is going to even me
Try to
out.
level it out,
And
yeah.
it did. It worked like a charm. I'd be in there fucking, you know what I mean? Up and down, kind of twisting a little bit. But I was funny. I was fucking wheeling and dealing, all that shit. Used to make a lot of cash tips doing that shit, because I would just be fucking high as a bat. Anyway, so this particular batch of heroin, I've read about it later, after the fact, but this particular batch of heroin that came through had been cut with Xanaxes. I never took Xanaxes because I just didn't like blacking out. That was never my thing. Hated them. So,
but you smoked it or snorted it?
the heroin,
Yeah,
snorted.
snorted it.
Yeah.
So can you snort Xanax?
Yeah.
Is that right? Okay.
Yeah, so most heroin out there today is like a bluish color, and that's when you see that, that's
The Xanax.
it's either the Xanax or the fentanyl. When you see it's blue, you're like, it's got one of those in it. You know what I mean? And this was like a grayish blue color, this particular batch that I got. And it was just, I couldn't, usually I could hit the coke and fight the nod off, right? Because, I mean, I would like to nod off when I was at home.
Sure.
Like, nodding off. Like, you ever see anybody do that shit?
I've done some good nods when I was on
it's
Xanax,
like,
yeah.
imagine like a hug from God. That's what that feels like. You know what I mean? Or a hug from that family member that you always wish stayed. But yeah, so I've got a piece of salmon, a whole side of it, right? And every time we would cut meat, like in the middle of a busy service, everybody's locked in on it because they're just like, oh, that's cool.
And locked in on you.
Right, so they're locked in on me. I'm like mid-conversation with a customer, and I got the tail of the salmon, and I'm cutting it, and I just start doing that.
Damn.
And my manager grabs me and takes me to the back. They kind of had an inkling that I partied, but they didn't know the extent of it.
Sure.
But now I'm blacked out. Like,
Yeah.
I don't even remember this situation I'm about to tell you about too well, but I watched the cameras later, and then they've told me about it. So they take me to the back. My girlfriend that I was telling you about earlier that I was beefing with that hated me. I pocket dialed her during this whole situation. She's sitting there listening to me, and they're like, Matt, what are you doing? They got me in the back. They're like, what are you doing? What is wrong with you? And I'm like, bitch, I'm high on heroin. Y'all drive me crazy. So I've been doing heroin in this motherfucker. I'm losing my goddamn mind. Right? So my girlfriend hears all this. She doesn't. I told her that I quit. You know,
Oh, yeah. So she thinks you're sober.
yeah, so I overdosed. I overdosed a couple days before, and then I'm like, all right, I'm done. I'm not doing it anymore.
Yeah.
But I was still doing it the whole time. So yeah, she's on the phone listening. And I'm like, yeah, I got a bunch of it in my fucking pocket, and I'll keep fucking doing it. Fuck y'all. Like, I'm like, that's what I'm saying.
The id is there.
I don't. That's where the Xanax is.
Yeah.
Because I don't act like that. You know, I'm trying to be low key as fuck. But this tonight, that night I was on in one, and then they were like, all right, you stay back here. We're gonna go back up front and finish service. And I was like, and this is where I watch the cameras back. I guess in my mind, I was like, they're going up there to call the police. And I have a lot of dope on me. So I went and hid the heroin in the mixing bowl of the mixer, right? And then I went and put my cocaine. I had like an 8-ball of each. And I went and put my cocaine in the brown sugar box. And I'm like, dude, white on brown, they'll never see that. They'll never see that coming. So the next day, so then they come back there and they tell me to get the fuck out of there, and I don't know what the fuck I did after that, but I ended up, dude, I went on Broadway.
Oh, this is downtown.
Yeah, no, so I was in the Gulch, that's where I worked,
Right,
and then I went on Broadway after they told me to go the fuck home.
Yeah.
And a hooker tried to pickpocket me on Broadway, right?
Oh.
Right?
wow.
As I'm in the blackout, right?
Yeah. Are you coming out of the blackout?
Yeah, so I was coming in and out of it. So I'm down there just getting hammered because I'm like, all right, I'm going to go get drunk as fuck. And I shouldn't have. So I'm down there getting drunk, and I meet I'm walking down Broadway, and this beautiful woman walks up to me and keeps talking to me, and I feel her touching my back, right? And she's like telling me that she is a lady of the night, and it's $250 an hour, and I'm like, I'm good. And my dick don't work anyway. I'm high. That's the thing. On heroin, that motherfucker don't work.
Yeah.
Yeah, dude. Like you could be in the middle of the most beautiful women in the world could be over there fucking, and I would just be like, "That's cool. I'm gonna do this heroin." Though. Dick wouldn't even move.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So, she kind of walks off, and immediately after that, I try to go buy a hot dog. Like she literally walked off, and then there's hot dog guy, and I'm like, all right. So I pulled my wallet out. I had $2,000 cash in my wallet earlier, This bitch had pulled my wallet out, took the cash, put my wallet back in, all while we were talking. I turn around and I could see this bitch, like, getting it up Broadway. I take off in a full fucking
So you
sprint.
realize that she took it from you?
Yeah. I took off in a full fucking sprint and just ripped her wig completely off. I snatched her purse, right? And I got $3,000.
Oh.
I took all of her money.
There you go.
That's
All of this is allegedly. By the way.
Allegedly, yeah.
But I took all of her fucking money, and then I called my friend and I got home. But when I got home, this is the best part. My girlfriend at the time had heard all this fuckery from the listening in on the phone call and left and went to go stay with her sister because she didn't want to stay with me. And I was like, fuck yes, this is great. It was great.
All right.
So I wake up the next morning and I was like, why do I have more money? And
You were supposed to.
yeah, then I had all these texts from people and they were like, yeah, you can't come back to work till you go to rehab. And
Oh.
Okay.
Well, you still had a job.
But yeah, my job really took care of me on that because like I was again not in a position to where I could really afford to go and not have my bills paid. But they were like, we will help you pay your bills and while you're in and make sure you get taken care of. So I ended up checking in for 60 days and my ex-girlfriend called up there to the rehab acting a fool, like being crazy. And I ended up breaking up with her while I was in there. And because my therapist was like, man, you're not going to stay sober. She clearly hates you. You know what I mean? She clearly hates you. You know, that you've done too much damage here. There's no salvaging that. And honestly, because like I said, being with her, I had done went to rehab while we were together a couple different times, and I always ended up relapsing because she was
still using.
She never used. She never did drugs.
She was just a bitch.
Yeah, it was just like she would always just yell at, just be mean and yell at me over shit that I used to had done. Like it would start off like, I'd get out of rehab and she's like, oh, I'm going to support you. But then I would do one small thing that would set her off. And I'd leave a dish in the sink. And that would start off with, fucking left the dish in the sink. You always fucking do this. You goddamn, and it would it would just escalate. And like I said, my brain is fucking fragile in those early months. And I would hear that shit and like, it would just trigger me. Because my natural response in drug addiction to when things are hard is to just get higher, right? So when you're sober, trying to get sober, and somebody just keeps triggering that over and over again, that's the first thing you want to do.
Just want a relief off that pressure.
That's true.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah, and you have to learn how to deal with things differently. It's a hard path to walk, man. It really is. But we find a way to do it. Our addiction stories are very, very different because I was also very sad and hurting, but
It goes hand in hand.
it goes hand in hand, and for me it was purely just alcohol, and it progressed over
Alcohol
time.
is a drug. I mean, a lot of people try to separate. They say like drugs and alcohol.
Yeah.
Alcohol is a drug.
It definitely is.
Well, alcohol is one of the worst. One of the only ones that will kill you coming off of it the wrong way.
Yes.
And what's so worse is that it's readily available. I mean, it is over the counter.
It's all over the place, and for me, I definitely was at a point towards the end of my drinking where my body was rejecting it. Like I had a lot of coughing fits for like no reason, and as I would drink, I would like cough up blood sometimes, and at that point, I put it down, and I suffered very, very bad withdrawals for probably about 4 weeks or so. 2 weeks, I was like in bed completely did not leave. Yeah, and just like shakes.
You just did that at your house?
And sweats. I did that at home.
God damn.
Yes.
That's recently.
I smoked a lot of weed. Weed pen. Used that. Just
Smoked
had
a
that
lot of
next
weed
to me.
pen.
Hit that a lot. Would go to the kitchen and try to eat some food. Make like eggs and like a smoothie or something, and I would like ride on that.
Damn, you just put eggs in a smoothie?
No, I would like make scrambled eggs.
and a smoothie,
I would make scrambled eggs, and then I would also make a smoothie,
That's
and then I would just lay in
horrible.
bed and drink water. Drink like liquid death flavored water. That and LaCroix, coffee, tea, a lot of hot tea. Yeah, and that was rough. I mean, like, it was like I had shakes and like sweats and all that, and it was very challenging. And I really should have like gone to a place to like do that.
Yeah, I mean, that would have
Safely.
definitely been safer, but you saved yourself a lot of money. A lot of people
I
can't
did.
do that either.
A lot of people can't do that piece right there. So I'm with you on like that first year. You're really learning how to.
So did you take vacation
Do
time
stuff.
from work?
No, because I worked remote. Working remote really was bad for my addiction. I'll just say that like openly.
So you were going through a draw.
So you're
having to
like
deal with people.
shaking and you're like,
Oh yeah, dude. I worked for most of that.
that is wild, dude.
That
That
is
is, I give you
wild.
fucking mad props on that.
Well, see, my office at that time, it was right next to my bedroom. Like, the rooms were connected.
So you can get up
So-
and puke and come back, deal with the customer, get back up and puke, deal with the customer.
I still would do like all of my day job stuff, and all that work would get done, like my routine
That's-
work.
that's-
Well, that's a
and meetings and
professional,
things.
man. That's
That is
that's a
but-
professional.
that is very
You
impressive.
can't go
Yes.
into the job to do that. Like that's the
I
only
can't
thing
go
you can do
into the
at
job.
home and work. You
At
can,
home and work,
That's
you
still
can, like,
impressive.
definitely wean yourself off of. You can fight your demons while you work from home.
I would love to do this. I wish we still had the other hour of conversation, but
I know, dude.
I say that we'll either have to do a part 2 or maybe do another full edition later. But
Hey,
I say tonight,
we have Matt Blevins booked for next week.
Mr. Blevins. I miss Mr. Blevins.
Me too.
I love
Me
Mr.
too.
Blevins.
Same.
There's a
Well,
lot
that'll
of
be a fun
people.
episode.
There's a lot of people in this the scene that I really enjoy seeing, and when I know that they're on the roster for that upcoming week, it's just like, oh, yeah, you can just feel the love.
That's right.
Well, Matt, it's been a joy to fucking meet you, dude. It's just like I really enjoy the fact that you got real with us, and God damn it, I wish we fucking got that first fucking hour, because that was
Oh.
some like serious real shit that we fucking lost. But anyway, dude, I've enjoyed the time sitting here with you and everything, and I mean, I felt like I really gotten to know you, and you know, and we didn't talk
Yeah,
anything
dude,
about
Matt's a
comedy.
sick dude,
We
I
didn't
told
talk
you.
not one fucking thing about comedy. We like talking about some fucking real ass shit.
We did.
Yeah,
We did.
yeah, I
This,
mean,
this
and,
was a good one.
Yeah, I'd come back anytime, man. Anytime.
Well, you said you would be open to do Saturday, and we do have our show on Saturday.
Yeah, I'm on vacation all week, so I'm not wide open, dude.
I
I'll
think
come back
we'll just
and
throw them on that
You can
and
throw 'em on the bill.
call that a day. So
That sounds good to
I'll
me,
just
man.
see you again on Saturday. We will.
Sounds good. Thank you guys, man. This is fun.
All right, from Matt and from Nick and from me, I'm gonna say, fuck you all. Good night.
Good
Have a
night,
evening,
bitches.
And be safe.
Yep.